Martin, don't freak out. I know I'm a Gator, but I still love the SEC. We are live right now on X, Facebook, and YouTube for your gold to go. I don't know if I said that right. I'm still working on that, Frank. Uh,
You got it.
your LSU fix right now. Lane Kiffin is 53% betting favorite to replace uh, whomever we're replacing up at LSU. The governor,
Brian Kelly, the governor,
Brian Kelly.
too long,
And speaking of Brian Kelly, he's still suing LSU for what, 54 million?
54 million.
And Nussmeier is hurt going into this game. Practice injury, right, Frank? And my man, Frank Wilson, has got all of that insight for you right now on his podcast, Goal to Go. Welcome to your show, sir.
Okay. Now, yes, you're exactly right. And you did a Freudian slip. You said Frank Wilson, who is the coach. You were looking at that on your screen. Frank Wilson, the interim coach here at LSU, is the one that came out yesterday and said that Nuss is hurt again. You know, that this nagging ab injury that he's had, he tweaked it again yesterday. And he's probable for the game. They said he's going to have to watch it, which, again, it could be a coin flip whether he plays or not. But the big problem is our season's done. However, we do have to win a game because it's going to be critically important to win one of the next two games because we have to go to Norman on the last game of the season. That's going to be a tough task. Oklahoma might still be playing for a shot at the playoffs, depending on what they do against Alabama this week. But we have to win either the Arkansas game or the Western Kentucky game, which is senior night next week, because it's critically important to get into a bowl game, mainly so that you can have the practice time. You need those extra 3 weeks of practice leading up to whatever bowl that you're in, just so that you can have more preparation for next year. And it's more critically important this year with a new incoming coaching staff, and we're going to talk about that in a second of who that might be. They have to get more tape on these players, and there's no better way other than practice than if you can get them in live game fire. And that's why I think Frank's going to wind up playing a lot of younger guys. Again, the goal is to win so we can get that extra time on the practice field in December. But it's critically important that you get a lot of playing time out there because I'm sure Frank's going to want to try and stay on. He's a great recruiter. If he's not given the head coaching job, which I think it's an extreme long shot that he would, especially the performance against Alabama. I don't think it was as good as what we thought. They might be fired up to come out and play for him last week in the loss. So I think you're going to have an LSU win these next 2 weeks. So and the critical point about Nuss being hurt again is it also puts in danger Van Buren's red shirt because right now going into next year, our starting quarterback is Michael Van Buren, the sophomore transfer that we got from Mississippi State. And right now, he has one more game that he can play in the regular season. He can also play in the bowl game. Obviously, Nuss would probably sit that one out. And you can have one more bowl game and not lose the red shirt. But if he plays in 2 regular season games, he's lost that red shirt. And that's critically important because, we are going to probably go out into the portal, see if we can find another diamond in the rough, a la Joe Burrow or Jaden Daniels. We've hit 2 massive home runs in the last 6 years, picking up portal quarterbacks, but you can't count on that. So it's critically important that Van Buren not burn that red shirt year. But Frank Wilson might not have any choice in that. If Nuss cannot play, and I know Van Buren's going to get playing time in this game, the critical one's going to come down to whether he has to play in Western Kentucky because we might need him to actually win that game to get that 6th bowl, qualifying win. And how just incredibly disappointing that will be if we get down to the end of the year, Brendan, just like your Gators, just like the Auburn Tigers, our buddy Robin and Doug's team, to where you're scrambling just to try and get a winning record. That is certainly not where we expected to be when we pushed our chips into the middle of the table, came up with a $12 million roster. Nuss alone is making 5 point something million to be a huge disappointment. I've never seen a 5th-year starter at quarterback regress the way that he did. I'm going to have a ceremonial burning of my Nussmeier Heisman 7-1 ticket from Caesars. And we're gonna burn that out in the backyard at some point in time over the next couple of weeks. So it is a crazy time here. I happen to be in Baton Rouge. In fact, I took this picture. This is my new backdrop. Leaving the Pete Maravich Center last night, watching the Tigers play hoops. This is the best place to be for the next 2 weeks with all the rumors that are flying. So I think it's day 18 now since Kelly was fired. He has since, like you said, filed a lawsuit. We're trying to maybe get him for cause. There are all sorts of rumors about what his comportment of his behavior was when he first got here. I won't give them credence because they're all alleged. But if this thing goes to court, the depositions are going to be ugly. They're going to be public. I don't think anybody wants this, and especially LSU doesn't want this. We want this thing to go away so that we can get on with this search. And, the problem is when you're looking for a high-profile coach, Lane Kiffin, we're looking at you as well as the Gators. And by the way, it might all just be a big friggin' money scramble by the two of us. It's going to make him a lot more money to be able to hang out in Oxford and go to yoga class, with the ladies in the Grove, or his ex-wife that's returned home. I don't one of us
are pretty steep. I mean, my phone blows up on a regular basis. With people constantly asking me questions about it. And, look, here's the thing. Nobody knows except for him. And you can speculate all you want. And Gatorbait Media, the website that I own with my father, Buddy Martin, we broke the story about, along with you all, the whole team, broke the story, really, Rob and our connection and sources, which is a really unique perspective to have after about a year and a half into this project that we're doing, covering all 16 SEC teams, to be able to resource the people that we know. And we really have a wonderful group of people that know a lot of information. And, the interesting perspective, I guess what I'm trying to say here is that to see what Gator fan says about Lane Kiffin coming, then to see what LSU fans say, the perspectives that are so oh, it's happening, this is happening, that's not happening. And then and it's like, it is just soap opera, right?
Well, you buddy and friends broke that Napier was gone.
Yeah,
I broke that Kelly was gone way before it happened.
You did. You certainly did.
And so we have our thumb on the pulse, and I think we're both going to be disappointed, to be quite honest with you. Right. I think him and his agent are playing both of us. And I think he's going to wind up with 13 to 14 million just to stay at Oxford. And man, that goes a long way in Oxford, Mississippi.
But maybe he wants to go to New York and be listen, I've either said he's going to, my perspective was that I think he'll end up at Florida, or he'll end up at LSU, or he'll end up in New York, or I said Miami Dolphins at first because that was the initial talk. But now you can see how the Giants would make more sense to him.
Yeah.
I don't, as much as he follows, culture and things that have done before with his father and everything like that, is also as much as he's still Lane Kiffin, and he's still going to want a shot at the dance, and that's either LSU, Florida, or going pro.
And he's got a little Joe Willie Namath hound dog in him. There ain't no doubt. I could see him up there at the Bachelor's 3, the old Namath, Mickey Mantle, Whitey Ford hangout. Yeah, you're right. I mean, he could go off the board and take a pro job, which I think it's still distasteful on how he wound up leaving Oakland.
LSU didn't want to talk to him.
Well, no, I guarantee you LSU is going to make him say no, just like Florida's going to make him say no.
But I'm saying 3 or 4 years ago, no one wanted Lane Kiffin.
Well, but Kiffin was a different animal, because look what he's done at Ole Miss. That the Ole Miss success is what I think has Kiffin on the front of everybody's list right now. And look, here's the crazy part: the actual leader in the right now for betting odds is Nick Saban. At 2-1, and Nick, and if you ask the LSU crowd, who would you rather have, Kiffin or Saban? It's Kiffin.
It's Kiffin.
Kiffin is the one we'd rather have because, Saban, I think the way the game is played now, I think Saban would not be the right choice, even though, again, he's 2-1 odds on betting circles. But again, I really think deep down, I think Lane is just leveraging this for money. And if I think he does pick a college, I think he's going to Florida, not LSU. And I'm only joking. His propensity for blondes as opposed to our fantastic brunettes here in Louisiana, I think might cause an issue. Yeah. And by the way, putting a couple of extra states in between the daughter and the boyfriend might also be a good thing. I'm a girl. You're a girl dad. I'm a girl dad. That's not actually bad strategy.
Not boyfriend anymore. They're engaged.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Oh, that's
you got it the last
I didn't hear that. Oh, interesting.
Very, very, very.
Oh, hang on. That helps me. That helps me, man. I like that. Well, look, no matter where he goes, Kiffin is the type.
At Diamond, I'm just saying, he might have got a little special deal on that Oxford jeweler.
I'll take whatever I can get, man.
Maybe this is a good time as any to go ahead and make that proposal.
Hey, I'm all in. Let's get these two crazy kids together. I say, bring them to Baton Rouge. No, here's the thing. The problem is, as you have found with your search, we found with our search, time is not your friend when you're looking to land a huge, big hire coach. And the longer that this goes, the more leverage those coaches have. And if they're in a location like Lane is now, that just means that Ole Miss is going to back up the truck and offer him. I'm sure they already have, right? There's been a contract that's been sitting on his desk for probably 3 or 4 weeks. All that's happened is every day those numbers get bigger. And I've got friends in Ole Miss chat rooms. They were having a meltdown yesterday. They thought
their Twitter page was going nuts.
Yeah, they think yesterday. I don't know what it's like this morning because we've been doing our roundtable show, but they think he was gone yesterday. Yeah. So there's so much.
I have people. I have heard. And I'm not going to say who, and I'm not going to get into that, but I have heard from multiple people that this is definitely like he's coming to Florida. It's been decided for a while, and that they're just running up the tab now. Yeah. And at what point, Frank? At what point? You're a successful guy. At what point do you say it's not just about the money right now? It's about my career. It's about making the right step, right? It's going to be it's a lot of money no matter what, right? He knows that. No more money he can spend. So he understands that, right? So at this point, it does come down to certain situations as a man, as an alpha guy.
Yeah, it's significance.
For me, I look, I don't want to. I'm 51. I don't want to say I'm done. Look what we're doing now, right? This is all like Oxford, 2.0. But we're building something and we're putting things together based off of the knowledge and the history from the past. But he can do that. He can certainly do that at LSU. At LSU. He can do that at Florida. In a much bigger capacity because he's got just it's such a powerhouse to go to each place. He just wants control, which concerns me about the Florida part because I know he has a past with the AD of Florida, Scott Strickland, and that you know a little bit more about that than I do.
Well, here's the thing. Here's my take. I think Florida is a great fit. I think LSU would be a great fit. When you have talent, you can be a fit anywhere. So I don't foresee there's any issue at Florida. In fact, I guarantee you the Bull Gators have backed up the friggin' Brinks truck. There's so much frozen orange juice that's being loaded up and being sold right now, just like
poor guaranteed NIL money in the bank. I mean,
absolutely. Ty Graves must be frying chicken fingers left and right to come up with the money to pay Kelly and an offer to Lane. And look, we're both going to make him say no. I mean, I'll guarantee you that the offers are out there.
Oh, huge.
They know. Tell us no. But the money at this level, these types of guys, they've got more money than they'll ever spend in their life. What it's going to come down to, there's 6 human needs. There's something that you can have a surety in. There's variety. There's love. There's significance, there's growth, and there's connection. Those are the 6 human needs. You got to have the first 4, but the other 2 are optional. Yes. Their need is for the love of a community and a fan base, but they're also for significance. And that means, how high on the totem pole can I take a leak, and what is the best program for me? And though he has love in Oxford, and he is, enjoying himself there clearly, from his yoga classes to now his ex-wife has even moved back. But the significance level of a Florida or an LSU, I'm sorry, it trumps Ole Miss. It just does. We've got national championships on our wall. We're a bigger fan base. You don't have to beg LSU fans and Florida fans to go to games when they're winning. Right. When they're losing, it's a different story. But when they're winning, you don't have to do that. So I know that he would want to do that. But, when you're building something, to have to start all over, that's also going to come into play. Lane Kiffin has built a hell of a machine in Oxford. The one thing that might get him, though, out of that is the fertile recruiting bases of Florida and Louisiana.
Yes.
Y'all are bigger than us, but you have to compete with the other Miami and Florida State and UCF and USF even. Yep. We own this state. It's a smaller state. The problem is with that, though, is the checkbook does the recruiting now. So if Ole Miss can not only back up the Brinks truck to pay him, but then come in with the collective and to pay the players, that's a different story. But I don't know if they've got that money at Ole Miss. They might have the old money for Lane. I don't know if they got the money to pay Lane and put a $20 million payroll out.
It's known fact that he's had to put the kibosh on all the renovations in Oxford. Yep. So they have the money reallocated to do transfer portal, which is where he's made his bread and butter. Look, There's no doubt. I had this conversation last night on a podcast, somebody else's podcast, and I said, look, coaching culture matters. What do I mean by that? I mean that Lane is a part of a heritage of coaches. His father, and it's SEC
money.
Yeah. So and this, there are certain things amongst players that we don't talk about, unwritten rules. We talk then the same sort of in the coaching heritage, when you get a call from, say, Urban Meyer or Steve Spurrier or whatever, and they pretty much that call goes like, hey, it's time. It's time now.
Big leagues.
This is your moment. You got to go now. Yeah. And these are the conversations that happen, and those are the conversations that matter. Okay?
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
A guy like Lane Kiffin, that conversation means everything. I've got clips of him talking emotionally how he was a Steve Spurrier guy growing up, how he wears a visor because of Spurrier. When you get calls, even from LSU, these schools, it's an opportunity for him to end around again and do what he failed at Tennessee. Yeah. And also do this one for his daddy. This is one that matters. And that's just for me in my SEC brain, Frank. And I don't mean to dominate your show. I just
I agree with you. I think it's a totem pole move. If he goes somewhere, if it's not New York, it's going to be Florida or it's going to be LSU. And I think Florida actually makes more sense for him. Like you said, Monty right there in Tampa, Central Florida. His personality is very much more Florida than it is Louisiana. I could see that. I really could. Which then puts LSU in a very peculiar place, because if you're hearing the rumors that they've offered Nick Saban 4 years, $25 million to come back to right the greatest injustice in college football history, that he left us to go friggin' get our 6 national championships in Tuscaloosa. And if Nick doesn't come, now where do you go? And especially if Auburn sneaks through the back door and gets John Summerall from Tulane, which I thought would be our fallback, then you're looking at Clark Lee. And I said Clark Lee very early on is probably who we're going to wind up with before it's all said and done. And the more buffoonish that our search and our involvement with the governor, who I like politically, I'm a Republican, I like him politically, but he's killed us, in the image department I mean, we're getting lampooned left and right, and no coach and no agent's going to want to step into that. So
look, the initial breaking news of Brian Kelly leaving, my first thought was, wow, this is going to hurt Florida's chances at getting Lane Kiffin. But as this drama sort of played out, look, right now that matters, right?
24 hours after Kelly, the governor was at an impromptu press conference, not even on this issue.
No.
And somebody asked him a question, and he goes, "I'd let Donald Trump pick the next coach at LSU before I'd let Woodward." And look, I liked Woody. Woody brought us 4 national championships in other sports. Yes, I get it. The tail wags the dog, and that's football. Football is the beast of everything. That's why the stadium over me is the one that's on the picture today, and not the stadium that I would have taken the picture leaving the PMAC. We know this, but the problem is you had a governor who shot his mouth off. 24 hours later, our AD is gone. Now, I like Verge. I think he's going to do good. He's an LSU guy. I think he's paid his dues. But it just put this whole search in a comedic light that didn't have to be, and it pushed it back weeks. I mean, we might have had something already. I mean, but you're not going to have someone come in and say, "Oh, if you're going to not pay Kelly his $54 million, and you're not even going to let the AD, the sitting AD, make that determination." And now the comment is, hell, the AD couldn't even fire him because he didn't have the ability. Well, I don't see Kelly around here. He left after eating Superior Grill, the picture I sent you on that Monday. I mean, it's a comedy of errors, and no agent and no coach is going to want to step into that. And that's the problem.
Well,
we've caused ourselves our own.
And to dovetail that is that now you have the transfer portal.
Yes.
Florida's looking at that too. That matters. That is looming. That date is out there. It is going to matter, how you're going to keep, what you got, right?
Sure.
And I've seen Mississippi fan or Ole Miss fan complaining online and saying, look, we really need Kiffin to make a decision because it's cute at first. Yeah. Okay. But I agree to some level, you have strung this out a little bit, and Lane likes to be a troll.
Oh, he's a diva. Yeah. He's a diva. He likes this. He
likes
to be fawned over.
Right. And obviously, so this game this weekend, although it means, not a lot for Florida, but it means a lot for Florida, right? It means a lot for how Florida shows out and how Florida fans shows out. But I don't, there's no question that the passion for Lane, that he has passions for both programs, right?
Yeah.
And I think, realistically, he's probably caught right there between that. But the drama ensuing right now because it's not dealt with at all. Although I gave LSU big points for making an early decision with Brian Kelly, saying, being decisive, saying we're going to go and we're going to make. I thought, well, that was smart, but this follow up is like antithesis of.
And now we found out it wasn't even official.
Yeah, what the hell? That's dumb. Like politics don't work like they work in football. You got to get guys that come. Like, you can trash the other person, but you don't realize in politics it's just you're in your single player game. You got your party, but in football you got to get guys to stay.
That's right. Yeah, recruiting isn't just coming in; it's keeping them in.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what. The sad thing is, Brendan, and I know we're up on our time. The history of politicians in Louisiana stepping in and meddling with Louisiana sports, and LSU in particular. Huey Long himself used to lead the band from the train station when he would go to Auburn, or we'd go to Alabama, or back in Spring Hill and or even Florida. We started playing Florida way back in the day as well. And he would be on the official train, and he would lead the band to where their hotel was in the college town that they were going to. This is not new, man. And I'm telling you, we're a banana republic. We are the most northernmost Caribbean outpost. We make things muddy. We make them ugly. We dance to a different tune.
You guys for that though.
But we got to stop it, because if not, we're going to get a second tier coach. And we've already done that, honestly, with Ed Ogeron. Ed Ogeron was a bargain basement pickup. I could have coached Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow and Terrace Marshall and Justin Jefferson. I could have coached them to a natty. We don't need to go to this is the only guy that will take the job again. And right now, we're working our way down a list scarily behind the scenes. And every day that it goes on, that search gets harder and harder.
Yeah, because you know why, Frank? It's not about what you did 10 years ago. And this is why you don't see Urban Meyer and you're not going to see Nick Saban and these guys take these jobs. Because right now it matters about how have you learned to win under this current climate?
Correct.
Because if you haven't cracked the code, and if you are still like trying to figure it out, then you're not going to, your coaching career is going to be very limited very quickly. And the guys that are going in and finding ways to win, they become so much more important. That's why we're seeing these teams like Indiana and all these different type of coaches. Don't you think that it's a different mentality?
No doubt. And Brian Kelly was guilty of that as well, because Jaden Daniels really wasn't his choice. That was the choice that was put upon him. You need to go get Jaden Daniels. Brian Kelly did not play this new era of football very well. Hired two horrible coordinators, in Joe Sloan and in Matt House, the defensive coordinator from a couple of years ago, which ruined the Jaden Daniels Heisman year. That also came to play. So no, you have to be a modern coach in an ever-changing landscape to be successful and to be competitive. And right now, the dinosaurs aren't. And that's why Nick Saban might be 2-1 in betting parlors. He's not coming here.
Sorry, and we only have a few minutes left. I just wanted to touch on, because this was on my notes here, is LSU's a 5.5 point favorite over the Razorbacks this weekend. The over under is set at 57.5.
Yeah, I look, the Razorbacks are a horrible defense. It's just a matter of whether LSU can put the offense together, and we've been lethargic. We've been pedestrian at best, to use two words. It's going to take a team scoring in the 27-28 range to win the game, because I think Arkansas, they have a decent enough offense. But if we don't score in the 20s, I just don't see us winning another 17-10 game. So I think LSU is going to have some offense. I think we win it. I don't know if we cover. Right now, LSU football is. It just depends on who shows up. I do think Van Buren gives us a much better chance of winning from what I've seen from Nussmeier. So if Nussmeier is hurt or he's restricted, frankly, I think having the mobile quarterback does help us. But you're gonna know whether this thing is going to be winnable if it gets up into the 20s. But it could be an under bet.
Look, I have heard it from many a great coaches, including Urban Meyer and we talked to a lot of coaches on here. LSU can go out there and play a little spread option spread offense and go out there and they've got enough talent to go out there and beat anybody, even with second and third string. That's the thing about LSU. So
if we can get off of calling the damn screen passes. I'm tired of the 3-yard screen pass.
Man, it's just been a year for college football, and we still got 2 weeks left, and no playoffs even started. So, 7 teams, you say, Frank? Maybe
I think there's a shot. Look, I'm not saying it's a probability. I'm saying it's a possibility. If it works out that Texas winds up beating A&M, and if Oklahoma can beat Alabama this week, and Vanderbilt wins out, you could have 7 SEC teams.
Well, you heard it here, folks, right here first on the Goal to Go podcast. He's Frank Duffy, host of this program. I'm Brendan Martin. I just fill in because, I know how to press the buttons. So much, Mr. Duffy. Let's go Tigers. Let's go Tigers.
Right,
so we will see you next week, same time, same station. Any final departing words, Mr.
Just
Duffy?
keep your hands off Kiffin.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers, baby. Go Tigers.